Hello, wonderful artists. So today we're going to look at how to draw a tree. And this is a picture of the tree that we are going to be drawing. So remember, everybody's tree will look slightly different. It'll have a little of your own character on it, but mostly we're going to look at drawing this beautiful tree trunk. And then we're going to have all of our leaves and the green part of the tree up top here. And I've added in a little bit of grass and just some hills in the background of mine. And I did not forget to put my name on top. So this is the tree that we are going to look at drawing today. It reminds me a little bit of an art project that we did in class a while ago. Do you remember when we used chalk pastels? And we drew a pretty sunset in the background, and then we had the silhouette of a black tree up in the front. So this is going to be a tree that's more spring, summertime with all of the green leaves on it. But the tree we drew before was maybe the fall or the winter without any leaves, and it was that black silhouette. So this reminds me a little bit of that, and I'll show you a picture of your drawings and your artwork when they were posted up on the bulletin board at school, just to remind you before we get started. Okay, now we're ready to get started on drawing this tree. So what you'll need is a pencil, an eraser, and a nice blank sheet of paper. So we're going to try and remember to write our names on it so that we know whose it is if you send us some pictures and videos, because I love to see what you guys are doing anytime you can send something along. So I'm going to write my name right here at the top. Miss Hutton. And then I'm going to start drawing. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to draw a V, the letter V. Right up kind of near the top of the page. I would say the point of the V is almost in the middle, maybe a little bit above the middle of your paper, just like that. And that's going to be the first part of where our tree trunk is. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw kind of a line that goes right beside each of those. And that's going to be the other part of the main branches that go on each side. So I'm going to make it not too thick. I mean, the thickness could be a little bit different for each of us, but I'm just going to draw one, and I'm going to make it thinner up near this top part and then get wider as it comes down. So just watch, kind of like that. See how it's thinner up near the top and then it gets wider in this space right there? I'm going to do the same thing on the other side, just like that, because these are going to be my two main branches in my tree. And then I'm going to continue this line down for my tree trunk. So again, it's going to get wider as I get closer to the bottom, just like that. So it kind of curves just a little bit in and then gets wider near the base of the tree. That's the strongest part of the trunk that is supporting and holding the whole tree up. So that's why almost all trees that you see are widest right at the very bottom. It gives the tree that extra support. And that's where the tree starts growing from. So it's had the longest time to grow and it's gotten the biggest. Okay, so now I'm going to put a little bit of detail on these branches. So at the very top, I have a bit of a gap here. So I'm going to join that gap together into a point. I'm going to give it a point, just like that. And then another point on this side, just like that. Point on each side. And then I'm going to give some detail for some of the smaller branches that would be coming off of here. So I'm just going to draw almost like triangles coming out, and I'm going to draw them in an irregular pattern. You can kind of say that with me, irregular. So that means that if I draw a triangle here, I'm not gonna draw it right across on the other side. I'm gonna kind of stagger them so that it's not direct opposites. So it doesn't look the same on each side of my main tree branch. It will look a little bit different. So here, I'm gonna draw a bit of a triangle there, and then here I'm gonna leave a bit of space and draw a triangle. And all my triangles don't have to be the same. Some can be a little bit bigger than others, or longer, thinner, or wider, bigger. I can kind of pick and choose how I'm gonna do it. These ones I just staggered. I went one on this side, one on the other side, one on the right side, one on the left side. Over on this side, I might do, maybe I have two on one side and then a bigger one over here. I can just kind of pick and choose how I do it. There. Okay, so get all your triangles drawn on there. And now we're gonna do the big leafy greenery around the outside of our tree. So I'm gonna start kind of partway up my V, and I'm gonna do sort of like bubble curves all the way around. And then I'm gonna join on the other side and come all the way around this way. So I'm gonna start maybe right in about here, and I'm just making these kind of half circle bubbles. See? So it's just a curved half circle kind of line. Again, they don't all have to be the same. Your tree can be really thick and bushy, or it can be a little bit leaner and thinner. And your green can come down to different points on your trunk. So maybe yours comes down to here, maybe it's up a little higher, down a little lower, just depending on how many leaves and how much bushiness you want your tree to have. And I also find as I'm going around, it helps me to turn my page a little bit so that I'm not trying to reach different ways. I'm always drawing that same curved line. And that helps me keep it a little bit more uniform, keeps all my curved parts close to the same. But that's just how I like to do it. Maybe you like to hold your paper the same the whole time. Now I'm going to do the other side. So I'm gonna start up on top right here, and I could join down low into my first part, or I can join it up high, just whatever I think I wanna do. So I'm gonna choose to do it right about there. And then I'm gonna turn my page and do the same thing and come up and meet it. So just doing my curved lines, see how I'm turning my page, that just helps me be able to draw it a little bit easier. That's how I like to do it. And then I'm gonna join in the top. There we go. And I kind of like how that turned out because it almost looks like a heart. And I really like hearts. So that's how my bushy green part is gonna turn out. The next thing we're gonna do is start adding some detail. So in the tree trunk, and you know from our science lesson on trees, this is going to be the bark. And when you went out and observed trees and looked at trees, or if you can think back to remember a time when you've looked closely at a tree, you know that the bark has a lot of ridges and different grains in it, and sometimes it can be pretty rough. So we're gonna try and draw some lines in our tree trunk to show that and to give that extra amount of detail. So I'm just going to start up here by my point, and I'm just gonna draw lines that come down these branches. So just a line that comes down, and I'm gonna leave it unfinished here because when I do lines on this side, I'm gonna try and connect some of them. So your lines can be close together, they can be far apart, they can have little wiggles in them, they don't have to be perfectly straight. Because if you look at a tree and you look at the bark on the tree, you'll notice that it's never perfectly straight lines. They always have a lot of character and a lot of wiggles and rough spots. So it's okay if your lines aren't perfect. In fact, it actually looks a little bit more realistic when they're not perfectly straight lines. I'm gonna draw some more on this branch. And you notice it's narrower at the top. So some of my lines are gonna start a little farther down, and that's totally okay too. And some of your lines don't have to go the whole way. I mean, and they can start down here, and they can kind of almost meet and touch and just have a lot of different character and definition. So there I've got quite a few lines on that big branch. So now I'm going to do some more on this side. And when I'm doing this side, I'm going to try and connect some of those up. So see how I connected that one there to sort of make a V with my grain in my wood on my tree branch. So it's okay for some of those to connect, and not all of them will connect. That's also okay. Sometimes you'll have some that maybe don't quite meet up, and that's okay. And I can even add in some extra lines if it looks like there's parts that are a little bit too open and I want some more lines in there. Just depends on how much detail and how much grain in the wood you want to draw. Now I'm going to continue. I'm going to meet up with some of these lines and I'm going to make them go all the way down my tree trunk. So my tree trunk is a lot thicker than what my branches were. So I'm probably going to have some extra lines that I'm going to fill in afterwards, just because I want to show lots of detail and lots of different lines in my tree trunk. Remember, it's okay if some of these lines meet and touch. You just draw them what looks best to you and use your artistic and creative abilities to pick and choose where stuff looks good, where you want to add more details. No tree that you draw is ever going to look exactly the same either. So if you decide to draw more trees after this and practice your tree drawing skills, I bet you notice that all of the different trees that you draw will look just a little bit different. And that's part of the fun, is to have all these different looking trees and all this creativeness that comes out in your drawing. So there you see I have a bunch of different lines showing the grain and the bark on my tree. Now I have these little branches, so I have to go in and draw some lines in those to make sure that they match and have just as much detail. So I'm just going to draw a couple little lines, and I'm almost just drawing little triangles inside there, and then maybe adding in a few extra lines here and there just for some extra detail. You want to show lots of detail in your tree and your drawing. Great work, everybody. Now I'm going to add just some detail to show the fullness and the bushiness of my tree. So I'm just going to do a few of those little part curved lines or almost half circles up in that top part to give it that detail. And then if you want, you can do some grass or some hills like I did. So when I do grass, I just kind of do a squiggle of triangle type points. That's how I draw my grass. You can draw your grass any way that you like, but that's just an idea. And then I'll give maybe a few in the different places. If you want to draw some flowers, you could do that. Here's some mountain hills or just a couple of curved lines, and that gives my tree and my picture that little bit of extra detail. So make sure you have your name on it. If you want, you can color it. You can draw a few extra things in the background. You can draw multiple trees and practice your tree drawing skills as many times as you want. And if you want to take some pictures or send some videos, I would love, love, love to see them. Thanks, everybody. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I really hope you enjoyed drawing trees.